what's up? David Duford here at davidduford.com, where I help insurance agents like you by recruiting and training them to become top producers in final expense, Medicare, and annuities. I wanted to put together this quick video because I actually got door knocked by a really good cold caller Friday a couple of days ago, and wanted to convey some of the things I picked up and what he's doing or what he was doing with me that I thought were absolutely rock solid, that all of you, especially you final expense people, should be doing when you're door knocking, especially in these times that we're in. So I was just sitting around minding my own business, doing my work, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, sometime in the afternoon, I got an approach, and a gentleman had knocked on my door. I popped outside and started to listen to his pitch. Did a few things, which I'm going to rattle off here, which I think are always a good strategy to use whenever you are doing an approach. So number one, this particular kid, he's probably 20. He used and referenced my neighbors several times on his approach. This is a great strategy. He had said that the neighbors he talked to were also going to buy or were interested or had purchased his particular program. Now, why is that important? First of all, it shows that this guy is not necessarily a total stranger, that other people like me, my neighbors, had carried on a conversation with them as well. So that kind of gives some kind of third-party validation in conversating with him. The other thing, too, of course, is the peer pressure aspect to this. Don't you want to keep up with the Joneses? Don't you want to do what your neighbors are doing? They're smart. They're like you. They bought this thing, too, right? So you always want to be using this if you can. Now, if a lot of you aren't cold calling, and you're probably wondering, well, how can I utilize this? Well, in a conversation at the door, certainly in the home, you want to talk about people who are in the same town, same neighborhood, if all possible, that have bought from you or very close by. Again, all of this is really good at building credibility. Certainly at the door, say, hey, I was down the road on so-and-so street just talking to someone like you who was age 60, blah, blah, blah. That kind of is an attempt to establish the same thing that went on in this particular conversation. Second of all, you want to make sure that you're selling past the sale. So I noticed a couple of times as the gentleman built up to the close, or he asked for the sale. He did ask for the sale. I guess that's important too. He sold past it. So he was like, so what we're going to do when we come here to do whatever it is that we're going to do. He was not asking permission. He was assuming the sale. He was selling past it. So we're going to get here and we're going to put this crap all over your lawn, and it's going to be bug free in a matter of days. And then we're going to do this and that. So it was as if he was already setting us up, right, to have already made the sale. So when you're making insurance sales, one great strategy to use is you want to say something like, so who do you want your beneficiary to be? Why do you want to pick up a life insurance policy? Why is it important for you to have a new policy? Why do you want a policy? What do you want your new policy to do for you? You want to start to ask questions and paint pictures so the client can already see themselves owning the product, right? So that was something I definitely noted that he utilized several times. Also, let's see what else the guy did that was good. Of course, he asked for the sale. I think I mentioned that. And it wasn't anything complicated. He said, we could do this or that. What would you prefer? That kind of sale. Very simple sale. He didn't have 5 different closing techniques. He just asked for which one of these options would work best for you. He asked questions to also, another benefit or another point, he asked questions to facilitate a conversation and provide information, but also to provide affirmation. So he asked questions where I would most likely give a yes answer to. You guys probably spend a lot of time outside, right? Oh, yeah, definitely. So do you spend time outside more in front or the back of the yard? Yeah, whatever, right? So this was all kind of what we call presumptive language. It's the kind of language that facilitates most likely positive affirmations. And one old-fashioned technique, which I think kind of sort of works. I don't like using it, maybe because I'm a salesperson to an extent. And I know how salespeople operate is kind of cheap, but get me wrong, I'm the exception to the rule. That's why I'm suggesting you should consider doing this. Is make sure that you are asking questions, to answer to, because the more yeses you get, it's kind of like the theory of building up momentum. And when you ask the big yes, you're going to get that yes to close the deal, right? So he was doing a lot of that. He also rebutted my objection 2 to 3 times. I want to say 3 times. Okay. And, when I said, no, I'm not interested, or I'm whatever, he went into a rebuttal pitch trying to sell it again. So he didn't take no the first time, right, guys? That's always the worst thing you can do, because you might have somebody who's interested and, whatever, right? You just got to get past some of that initial resistance, still sell past the sell, help them visualize it, etc. So at the conclusion of this, he did not buy. So you may be wondering, well, Dave, why you're telling me all this stuff that you say is good, but the guy didn't actually buy? Well, it's kind of an interesting point. Number one, I think the big takeaway a lot of people don't understand, and this is an early flaw in my beginning in this business, is thinking that a sales pitch is going to, if it was done correctly, it would always produce a positive outcome in the sense of a sale. Well, that's not the case. You can have the best baseball player, the best home run hitter, and he's probably not going to hit most of the balls. He's probably going to have a 250, 300 batting average. So 25 to 30% of the time, he's going to strike, or he's going to actually connect and hit and make a base run or home run or whatever. So in other words, even with somebody who does something very effective and very powerful, is very good at it, his failure rate is greater than his success rate. So keep that in mind. Nobody would argue that Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron should have done anything differently than playing baseball and what they're able to accomplish, because they did better than any human in history for their times, but still had a greater failure rate than success rate. So it's food for thought. So you expect failure. It's a part of the system. It's something you cannot eliminate. It's going to be there on some level, unless you have some Super Saiyan, secret type of thing. Super Saiyan, for those of you out there, you know what I'm talking about. So if you have some magic trick that nobody else has, otherwise you're going to have to fail on some higher level rate than your success rate. And then also, the other thing too is interesting is there's a function of timing here I thought is appropriate. So this is for a pest service, right? So I've got a local pest firm. They do a good job. I really like the people, and they bring a good value proposition. What this gentleman was doing was bringing a value proposition in, and he was trying to sell based off of value. It wasn't off of price. And for me personally, the value proposition my current incumbent was having was better or equivalent to what they were doing. But there was also the potential for price savings. The guy had a pricing that might have been a little bit different. I don't even know what I'm paying for my pest service. I just know it works well, and I don't want to fool with it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I believe. So I think part of the reason he didn't get me is I wasn't in market right now. Now, if I did not have a provider that wasn't doing if I did not have a provider and I wanted one, I would probably have said yes to this. If I had a crappy provider that wasn't doing their job, then I probably would have picked this up. So again, I think this is a good play from a strategic standpoint, just as commentary, to go after the value sale, not the price sale. Although, sometimes price is a value, right? It is a value. It just depends on the buyer you're dealing with and what their circumstances is. We certainly see that in final expense. I have no problem replacing existing coverage for a better deal, because our clients need a better deal in a lot of cases. So anyways, the point is this guy rode around on a Segway around the neighborhood, pitched a bunch of people. He put in the effort. Some are going to say no. Most are going to say no, but some are going to say yes, and he's going to do very well at it. It's kind of interesting, little last point here. This kid, he goes to Brigham Young. He is a Mormon, and I always love recruiting Mormons because they go through a couple of years of doing their mission work, and they come out rock-ribbed cold collars. So he was really good. So he got to sell the hardest thing to sell, which is the church, right? Religion. It's probably the most difficult thing to sell. So those guys can pretty much sell anything. So anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. And he'd been doing it a couple of years, and I asked him, so you making good money? He said, oh yeah, he's trying to be a little humble about it, but he seems really good. So if you're out there watching that, man, you did a great job. I wish more agents would be like you and follow through in the script, put in the effort. And for those of you out there, including you out there, if you're out there somewhere listening to this, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Stay strong, commit to it. Do this for 10 years, and you'll blow your mind at the kind of success you can get. And if you want to sell final expense, not cold calling, but using leads, people have already expressed interest, so the rejection rate's not nearly as bad, and the success rate is actually higher. You want to do final expense over the phone or face-to-face, I can help. You can go to davidduford.com, click the Become an Agent button or the FAQ section to learn more, and I'll be happy to talk to you more about how working with me works. Hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it, and we'll see you next time. Take care.